Yes. So this is the kind of interface that we have for the Power BI over here. Okay. Herein, if you see that these are some options wherein you get the report view. So this is the option of a report view. This is your canvas where you make your visuals out of it. These are your data. So whenever you load the data, you'll able to see those tables with all the columns and all the information of the columns here in the data. Then these are the visuals, whatever visualization tools you want to pick for and you want to work for, you can have those visualization tools available over here. Then here, if you want to apply any filters, so this is the section of the filters that we have and that are available. When you open this arrow, it opens up. And if you want to collapse this, you can click on this and they get collapsed. So these are the kind of options that you have on your right hand side. And on the left hand side, you have three options. One is the report view. This is your data view. If you get the data, you'll able to see the tabular view of the data over here. And here you basically see your relationships of the data. So if you have multiple tables and anything, and you want to set up a relationship about the data table, that what is the relationship between the two data sets, or you want to create a relationship between the two data sets, then you can create it over here in this section. Now, let's see how we can fetch a data. But before that, let's go ahead with some of the tools over here. Like what are these informations? So in the file, we have some informations of new. So if I want to create a new report, I want to use a new Power BI interface, desktop interface basically. So we can use this. Open a report. If you have any existing report and you want to open that up, so you can open a report. If you want to save anything, you can save that report up over here. Then if you want to save as, let's say I want to save it in a form, save it in a way that it's like it was already saved and I want to save it in a different option or by a different name altogether, then it forms in a formation of save as. Then next is get data. If you want to get the data, so there are informations of Excel workbook, Power BI data sets if you want to use, then data flows are there. You can connect through SQL server, you can connect through Azure, you can have a text or a CSV file. You can in fact connect to a web page. You can have a ODT feeds, a blank query you can check for if there are any Power BI templates that are available. So with these, you can connect your data. Then if you want to import anything, now import comes in as a Power BI template, or maybe there is a Power BI visuals from file that you want to transfer, or maybe there are, so in the files, you have some visuals available and you want to get that visuals on the file or from the file. Then in that case, we use Power BI visuals from the file. Then if you want to export anything, like in a form of a Power BI template, you want to export the data, you can export it. Or if you want to export it in form of a PDF, and then you can export it. Then there are other options like for the canvas options and all, like for the settings, which we say, these are all the options that are basically available in Power BI that is there, like about the data load, about the data stuffs and all of them. I am just getting a call. So basically over here, you can like see whatever you want to look for. So like you can see for the type detection, you can see for the background data. So whatever you want to present for, you want to have a data lookout, whatever you want to see for, whatever the parallel loading tables, all these stuff about the Power Query editor. You want to have a layout of the Power Query editor. You want to tell how the layout should perform. What is the data preview that should be there? Then if you want to have a direct query, basically if you want to connect it with SAP HANA or any of the relationship models, or you want to have an R scripting available, or you want to add up any Python scripting, anything, so you can do that. Then obviously you have the privacy settings available. if you want to have any data extensions, or if you want to have like allow a Microsoft certification to extend load of a third party verification, any privacy you want, any regional settings you want, any updates you want to do. So for all of that stuff, you can have these options available. Then obviously, if you want to have some settings on the current file, like whatever the data load or the regional settings or any privacy in the data, in fact, if you are loading a data and you want to have a privacy settings on the data set that you are loading, you can obviously do that. Then you have an option to auto recover files. Auto recover files is basically if you ever forgot to save a file and you want to automatically recover those files, then in that case, in that case, you can automatically recover that automatically. So for example, let's say you created a Power BI report and uh, you forgot to save that, and you think that, oh shit, now I lost my file, what I'm going to do? So I have to create a new file. No, you don't have to create a new file. Basically, what you can do is that you can just simply go to the basic launches or basic options, wherein what you can basically do, you can just have an auto recover. So Power BI automatically recovers your data. It doesn't wait for anything, or it doesn't look for anything. It just automatically recovers or automatically saves your data in a way that you don't have to bother about saving your data by yourself. So that is also one of a very important feature, and it's a very advantage feature whenever you forgot to save your data. So in that sense, you can obviously save your data in a way. Okay. Now, apart from that, the next option that we have is publishing the data sets. Okay, whenever you want to publish your data sets, either it is a SAP variable or any of the data variables or anything, so you can do that. Basically by using that direct query or connections to data set or anything of that sort. Then we have query reduction. So if you want to reduce the number of queries sent or anything of that sort, then you can use a query reduction option, wherein you can disable all the filtering by default or anything. Or maybe if you want to add a slicers, instead of applying button to a slicer, we recommend all slicers button to for all each page. So you can completely come up. Then in filters, if you want to add the apply button to all basic filters, or you want to add a single apply button to all filter panes, then you can do that. Then obviously the report settings, like you can have a filter that the end users can't have the filters to be saved in the data. Then visuals, how you want to save the visuals, how you want to explore the data, how cross drill through what develop or anything of that sort. So all these things is actually kind of settings that you have in your data set. Then the next option that we have over here in the options as setting is data source setting. So in the data source setting, you have like whatever data source, like basically by default, you have this global permissions from where you can like for example, if you connect with it, wherever you connect with the data source. So the global permissions is by default, it gets connected to the SQL for me because I have SQL in my system. But if you want the data source from any current files, if you want to load it from a file, then you have to search it from a file and you have to load that. Like you should have a file, and from there you can load it. And by default, global permission is this. So if you want to edit that permission, anything of that sort at a privacy level, or you want to delete it also, you can do that stuff. Like you want by default, you want to delete those permissions, or you don't want to connect with it. So you can do that. Then there is export PBIDS. PBIDS means if you want to export the Power BI source file, like whatever the data source file you have, you want to export that, you can export it. So that's the options you are available for the data sources. Getting started is all about telling you and taking a tour through the Power BI. That's what we get the getting started option. Then the next is we have home. So in the home, we get all these options where you have paste, cut, copy for matte painting. Then you have this option of get data. So you have options to get the data. And now with the updated version, you get the data from here. So if you want to import an Excel, you can simply click on this. and you can import an Excel from whatever sources you want. Like for example, I import and I can import these data sources from here. Or you want to import from the SQL, you want to paste it into a blank table, try a sample data set, then you can try a sample data set as well. You want to load a sample data set, you can load a sample data set over here. Whatever the sample data sets is there, it will connect you to that. So see, like I had there's a sample data set of the financial table. So it is establishing a connection through that and it is uploading that data set to you. So it is taking some time, but it will upload. So see, these are the financial sheets and the data you get. So whenever you load the data or you work with the data, you get these types of data sets. Now from here, this is my final table. Like this is my input file and I can see the sheets through. So if you connect to any of them, you can see the preview of the data over here, that what are all the data sets that we have. If you connect to sheet 1 also, you'll able to see that. And if you connect to this, you'll able to see this. So these are the files that you have. And from here, whatever files you want to load for, you can just load that. So you click on that. And if you think that, no, my data doesn't look good, or I want to transform anything, basically anything, any column, let's say you want to transform the data, you want to look for the data, so you can click on transform, or if not, you can directly load the data. So this is how you can load. And whenever you want to refresh it, you can just simply click the refresh button and the data will get refreshed. Very simple. So this is how you get your data. So these are the different sources from where you get your data. Transform data is basically, I told you, whenever you want to power a query, power pivot option or power a query, you want to transform a data. So basically, when you see that your data is not looking in a proper way, or there are some changes that needs to be made or something of that sort, then in that case, we use a transform data. Okay, wherein we transform the data, we refresh the data, so we transform the data, we make the changes. Basically, transform data is a place where you clean up all your data. So cleaning up the data is called as transforming the data. If you want to create any new visual, you can just click on it and any of the visual will come up. Or you can go to the visual panel and you can select accordingly whatever charts you want to make for. Then any of the text box you want, you can have these text box and you can write text over here. Whatever text you are looking for, you can write that. Then if you want to have more visuals, so you can have more visuals from any app sources or maybe any files. So there are some files which are manually loaded into the Power BI from where you can get some visuals. Let's say in an Excel file or in any of the file, you have some visuals already available. And you want to see those visuals and all that stuff. So in that case, you can click on this and you can take those visuals from the file. So if there is any predefined visuals or visuals being created and you want to pull them from the from any of the files or anything, then you can click on more visuals and you can click on files and you can pull the visuals out of there. Or maybe there was any report from which you want to get the visual. So you can get the visual from there also. Then you have new measures, quick measures. New measures is when you want to create some measures around. So you can use the new measure option. Quick measure is when you want to have some quick calculation on the measure, anything of that sort, you can have quick measures. Then sensitivity. Sensitivity basically depends on like what is the sensitivity level of your data set, how much data is sensible, how much is meeting up to the requirement or is on the live front. That is called as sensitivity. Then if you want to publish the data and you want to share it across, then it's called as publishing the data source and all of that. Okay. Next is we have insert. Insert help you to add a new page, a new visual. You can have more visual. Then there's a section of Q&A. Q&A means you can have question and answers based on your, like you can have a question and answer setup. And based on your data set, you can have the Q&As assigned. Then you can have key influencers. Key influencers is a column wherein you can check for the key influence section, that what are the key important things that can influence your data set. Then you can create a decomposition tree as well, which will highlight on the hierarchical tree. A smart narrative, where you can like you can like have a data and you can narrate something and you will have your data available. Then you can have like, let me delete this. Then you can have a paginated report, which is basically the reports will update in a real time. Then you have power apps, power automated preview, text box, and all of these. You have some buttons option. You can add up buttons. You can have shapes. You can add up some images, all of these. Then you have the option of modeling. Modeling is related to the data model, wherein you put up the data and you read about through the data. Data modeling means connections that you can set up across the tables. Like based on any common column, you set up relationship across the tables and all of these stuff. So that is called as a connection, like relationship management and all of them. Now, if you want to add any measure, any calculation, you want to add any new column into the table, you want to add up a new table into the data, you can do that. Then there is a change detection, like you are refreshing a page and you want to change something while you're refreshing, so you can go to that. Then you have an options of parameters. You can add up parameters in your data set. Manage roles. If you want to manage the roles of the people, like who should have the access of view, a creator and all that stuff. So you can manage those roles. Then view as, if you want to view the data of someone, then you can use a view as in that case. Then the language, basically you can have English and Spanish language. Then linguistic schema. Linguistic schema is basically importing and exporting your data sets that consists under the linguistic schema, which comes under the linguistic schema is all of them. So basically, these are all the things that comes under linguistic schema, where you can check for the data sets and all of them, that what all data sets you have, and based on what all data sets you can see whatever. Then you have a view option. View means where you can mend your charts, how differently you want to see your charts, your page view. If you want to have a grid line, you want to lock any object, you want to have a bookmark, filter, selection, any performance analyzer, you want to sync the slicer, syncs in the sense like whenever you refresh a data, the slicer should also get refreshed. And that would be across the pages, like as the slicers get refreshed on one page, it would refresh the data on the other page as well according to the data set. Then you have an option to optimize. You can pause any visual, so that if you want to pause any visuals or you want to refresh anything. Optimize, you can have an interactive or a customized view or a query reduction. You can have a performance analyzer in place, which will help you to monitor your performance of the data. How is the data performing and everything? You can have that performance analyzer. You can have it available. Then apply all slicers button. There is apply all slicers button whenever you create a slicer, and you can have an apply all slicers button that will help you to apply a slicers button on your data set, which will help you to apply a button on all the slicers. So according to that, you can apply the slicers. So this is a basic preview and basic interface that you always see whenever you open up a Power BI dashboard. Whenever you open up a Power BI desktop application, this is the overview that you get in. And whenever you handle these type of Power BI desktops and everything, you get this information and you get this interface. So this is very simple to install. Nothing prerequisites is required. If you have Windows 7 and above, you are easily able to install it. It's free of cost. The Power BI desktop is free of cost. Obviously, there are other versions which are licensed and which requires the license also. But generally, in the terms, we always work with the Power BI dashboards. So in case of Power BI dashboard, we don't require any of such informations or any of such data sources or any of that thing. In a matter of fact, we always work with it. Okay. So we all, if we want to work with it, we can simply get this Power BI desktop information